Good afternoon and good evening to all the good viewers of this program who are watching this program live with us on a weekly basis or for the very first time. Allow me to share the link of this program with everybody who's on our Telegram page so that you can have it and I can also view it with you. Good afternoon and good evening to all the people who are going to be writing in the live chat as this program goes on. We are going to cover part 15 of our program. So allow me to go into sharing screen and share our document with you and share screen. No, that's the wrong one. Come out. Thought I clicked on the right one, but I clicked one above it. Okay. There we go. That is the right one. So very soon you should have it. While we wait for you to get it, I'll give you a recap. So last time we found out that Al-Surayya died, and we also found out the older and the younger Ibrahim died and all of that stuff, right? So now we continue with another one of his sons, Ahmad. Ahmad's mother was a slave, but we don't, there is no wife. You see the wife here? There is no such thing as wife or husband in Islam to begin with. There is no such thing. Because in order for you to have a marriage, so you can have a wife or a husband, you need to have something that in Arabic they call izdawaj. There is no such thing as izdawaj in Islam. Instead of izdawaj, we have the word nikah. And instead, and some people now will say, oh, you didn't say izdawaj, because izdawaj is in Persian. In Arabic, they don't have the V, they have a W. So it becomes izdawaj. Now, nikah, opposite of izdawaj, which is marriage, nikah literally means fucking. F-U-C-K-I-N-G. That's what it means. It does not mean sexual act. It doesn't mean intercourse. No. It means the type of intercourse that you would see in a XXX movie where they go, with pressure. The rough type. It's not the nice and romantic and, well, it's not the scientific, if one organ goes inside the other, and anyone who tells you that kind of stuff, they're sugarcoating it. But life cannot go forward on sugarcoating. There is a point where you have to tell the truth, and if you don't tell the truth, you are aiding and abetting the lie. And if you aid and abet the lie, you're creating an environment where the lie can still stay alive, which means you're involved and you have the same guilty penalty on you as the one who told the lie. But if you want to enlighten the people, you have to use the type of language that some may not like, but you have to use it because you got to tell the truth. You cannot go around and say, well, I don't like this word, I'm going to translate it to something else. If you do, you are the same as the translators of the Quran. They don't like words, not a problem. We'll change it out and put a different word in. We'll put a word we like. But now you change the meaning. Now people cannot find the straight path. Now people are going in the wrong direction. And it's because of you, the responsible one, who was supposed to give the right meaning but you didn't give the right meaning, and people trusted you, they depended on you, and you pushed them in the wrong direction. In this channel, I will not do that. I will tell you exactly what it means, and you will learn the truth of what these words mean. Hence, without marriage and just F-U-C-K-I-N-G, you cannot call the person you're doing that act with a wife or a husband. Not legally. You can make up your own words and pretend. I can pretend that I'm the sky. Doesn't mean I am sky. So here, when we see wife, that's inserted by the guy who wrote this book. And it's not part of the original text, if you want to follow the history. In reality, Ahmad's mother was a slave. But we have two types of slaves. We have the slave that does the daily work of your life, and we have sex slaves, which your right hand possesses, as we covered in chapter of women in the Quran, with the verse 24, where this so-called statue god named Allah, the devil, he tells the people, it's an order from their God, the Muslim God, that Muslims, it's legal for you to have F-U-C-K-I-N-G with those who your right hand possesses, meaning slaves. So there are sex slaves that you are supposed to commit F-U-C-K-I-N-G with, and it's perfectly legal, which means you don't have to pay anything for that act. Unlike in a nikah contract, the F-U-C-K-I-N-G contract, where you have to pay to buy that girl and then she becomes your property. That's where the meher is from. You don't have to pay that to these guys. In any case, she, the slave woman, was the mother of two of Ahmad's brothers, Muhammad and Hamza. She was amongst the respected ladies. You know that's a lie, because slaves are not respected. The high echelon type people are respected. Slaves are not respected. So that's a lie. She was given the kunya Ahmad. Now you might think, what is a kunya? A kunya, literally, you see, mullahs, they play this game with you. They're writing in English and then they throw in an Arabic word so that the English reader will not be able to make sense of it, and he will pass it by without understanding the lies. The kunya is like a title. So here we can change kunya to title and say she was given the title of Ahmad. Now you might think, what's Ummah? What's is coming from the word mother, mother of Ahmad. So the title they gave her is mother of Ahmad. That's how they respect it. You know, I mean, when you say President Donald J. Trump, well, the President Donald J. Trump today, right now, as we do this specific program, is not the present president of the United States. But people will honor him, they will respect him, and they will still call him president. Hence, if people respected her, the title she should be given is something big. But the title she's given is, that's Ahmad's mother. That's not really much respect. Why they gave her that title? Because she was a child that Musa bin Kazim was committing rape, pedophile on. Kept a little child as a sex slave and did his pedophilic act of raping this poor girl as he wished. Hence, she gave birth to 3 boys. And because they want to hide the fact that pedophilia was involved, that rape was involved, they now give her a title called mother, as if she's an old woman, like Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa wasn't a mother. She never married anyone. She didn't have sex with anybody. She didn't give birth to any kids. But they call her mother because she took care of the people. So they valued her like a mother, old woman who took care of everybody. Likewise here, they want to hide the fact that there was so much evil. And they want to keep the Muslim Shia with blinders on the eyes where the Muslim Shia cannot see. Hence, in order to do that, they have to hide the crimes that took place. In order to hide those crimes, they have to now give a title, mother. Mother of Ahmed. Sounds a lot better. Now you think that, oh, this woman was probably like a 50-year-old woman and you know, has some strong kids. No. She was barely like 10 years old when she was giving birth to the first one. 11 years old for the second, 12 years old for the third. The baby child is giving birth to children. That title was given to her by Musa, according to the writer of this story. And Musa was very kind to her. Oh yeah, very kind, very kind. I mean, when she didn't want it, he would slam her head into the ground multiple times. And then after the rape was done, he would caress her hair like you do to a cat or a dog. Very kind, very kind, very kind. I mean, if you think about it, who's kinder than Musa al-Kazim? Just think about it. No wonder today in Palestine, when they take the hostages from Israel and they take little babies, I put it in my Telegram for you fact checkers in YouTube. It's in my Telegram page. 3-year-old kid, and they're pulling his lips and hitting her hand, and they're taunting her in front of her parents. Where's your father? Where's your father? Because they want to take her and rape her. 3-year-old child. Yeah, Musa was kinder than them. They're doing it to 3-year-old. At least Musa waited for the girl to be, 9 years old before he did the act and got her pregnant. He's very kind. He gave 6 years. Come on. 6 years discount. When he left Medina for Baghdad, he left with her inheritance of the imamat and said to her, whoever comes to you at any time and asks you for the trust, then know that I have died a martyr, that he is the successor after me and the imam who obedience is obligatory on you and all the people. Never mentioned the name. I mean, he didn't know who's going to be the successor after Musa al-Kazim didn't know. Over here, he should have said, instead of whoever comes to you, he should have said, after me, Ali al-Rada will come to you. When Ali comes to you, my son, which you give it to him. Also, Why give it to this woman? According to Shia Islamic law, they tell us that imamat is preordained by Allah, and it was told to Muhammad, and Muhammad told it to all of his descendants, which are not his descendants, but they are descendants of Ali, because even Fatima, who Muhammad called his daughter, was not really his own biological daughter, yet it was from one of the men who had marriage prior to Muhammad with Khadija and had died, as she was a black widow. She would kill all of her husbands, like a praying mantis. She'd kill them all. And then that's it. Muhammad came along, he was smarter. He figured it out. He said, she killed 3 before me. I better kill her before she killed me. It was a killing family. And then he took Fatima, molested her, and then handed her over to Ali so he can molest her too. And that's how they got these offsprings out of Ali and Fatima. Muhammad had nothing to do with any of it. But now they pretend that all of them are offsprings of Muhammad. The guy whose real name is Ghatam, the human feces. That's what Ghatam means. I got to be honest with you. I cannot call it the dog feces because it's not that. It's a human feces. So it is a human. So there we find out where we're at. Musa al-Kazim did not know who will take over, which one of his kids will be able to outpower and outmaneuver the others. He didn't know. It was left there for them to fight for. But Islam and Shia Islam teaches us, since Allah picked them, and it has to be a man, so therefore, imamat cannot be given to a woman. You cannot trust the position of imamat with a woman. You have to give it to the next person. It's almost like a ring. Like I'm wearing this ring, right? If I take this ring off, now I have the ring off, right? And I say, whoever has this ring, they become the next leader. So here we have imamat. We're going to take out imamat and we're going to put leader in there so you understand. The inheritance of imamat, this is the inheritance of imamat, right? Because inheritance has to be something that you can physically grasp. So for this scenario, this ring, you can physically grasp it, right? So I take off the ring and I say to you, I give you this inheritance of the next leadership. And when someone comes for it, know that I'm dead. So I'm not going to ask for this ring back. So give this to the one who's supposed to be trusted. Now, if you're a woman and I give this to you and you decide, I'm putting it on and there's no one who came and asked me. Now you become the new leader. But in Islam and Shia Islam specifically, a woman cannot be the leader. A woman is not the imam. The imam has to be a man. So why would Musa al-Kazim take off his inheritance, give it to a woman so that she can give it to somebody else? Why not he himself go and give it to the person who's supposed to be the imam after him, so that that man can put the ring right back on his finger and say, I'm the one? Because he didn't know. They say to you, there's 12 imams in Shia Islam. Allah picked them. Allah is the statue God of Islam that Muslims don't even know who it is. But he's a statue. He says so in the Quran. Allahu Samad. Samad is a statue. is a very smooth stone that dust cannot sit on. It has a little hole at the bottom, like a piggy bank, that you can take your money out of. But when someone who doesn't know it's a piggy bank looks at it, they think it's like a regular stone. It's just that if you know how, you know what to do. Like, for example, this pen. You look at this pen and you think this pen is a pen. And you would be right. See? It can write. But if you knew, you would also know this is a flashlight. I can click that and the light comes on. And if I click it again, the light goes off. But if you don't know, then you don't know. Semet was a piggy bank stone. It had a hidden passage at the bottom. You open it, you take your money out. People put their money in there, then they go with their caravans for long trips. If they get ambushed by groups of people that want to take their money, they would search. They can't find any money. They find an old stone, say, we don't want a stone. You can't sell the stone. They don't realize underneath of it there is a hidden passage that opens up like a piggy bank. That's what Allah is. Allah Samad. Allah is Samad. He's a stone. But Muslims don't know because the translator doesn't translate it right. The translators sugarcoat it. They don't like the word. They won't translate it for you. Just like people won't translate nikah for you. Just like people won't tell you that Muhammad's original name is Khatam, it means human feces. They won't tell you these things. Even the ones that say they are against Islam, they'll refrain. They might say it once and they go away. But they don't tell you that every single day so that you remember it, so that you understand it, so it becomes imprinted into your brain, so that when you are faced with a Muslim, you know exactly what you're saying, and you will come out far more knowledgeable than anything they want to bring in front of you. They don't teach you that. Part of the reason is because they see it as competition. They think if all of you become like them, then what are they going to do? Hence, they won't share their wealth the way they're supposed to. But here, this channel is different. We share it all. Musa al-Kazim didn't know who will be the 8th Imam, who will be the 9th Imam, who will be the 10th Imam, who will be the 11th Imam, and who's going to be the 12th Imam. The next 5 Imams that are supposed to be after him, who Allah has already ordered and decreed, he did not know. And according to what they wrote here, the inheritance of imamat was given to a woman. That means that the imamat is finished, done with, gone. Those who call themselves the Ithna Ashari, the 12th imamats, it's finished. It finishes at number 7. If you really stretch it. If you don't stretch it, it finished at number 6. The reason why at number 6, because all of them said it's going from father to the older son, with the exception of the first one. The first one, it went from father to oldest son, to the next oldest son, and then they went down the lineage of the second oldest son, Hussein, and Hassan's family married into Hussein, cousins married, and finally, when they married, Muhammad Baqir was the descendant of both. Hence, he brought the two sides back together. So he has the lineage of Hassan and Hussein in him. Hence, it can continue. And then he had a son named Jafar, which was his eldest son. Then Jafar's eldest son died before him. So he gave it to his second eldest son, which was Musa. So it continued somehow, if you stretch it. But now Musa doesn't know who to give it to. He gave it to a woman, which is not allowed, which means Musa doesn't know the knowledge of Islamic law. He can't represent the Shia or the Sunni, which makes him null and void. And if you don't know the rules, you can't. It's like if you don't know how to drive, if you don't know the rules of operating a vehicle, if you don't know the rules of how to drive your car on the road and in the highway, if you don't know how to park, well, you can't drive because you don't know the rules. Likewise, if you don't know the rules of Islam, you can't lead in Islam. And the Imam is leading. He's the leader. He's the big shot. That's why in the example, I said if there's the ring of the leader, well, it's done. You gave it to a woman. So in Musa's image of mindset, the woman should be the next leader. The slave woman should be the next leader of the Islamic empire for the Shias. But she cannot be. So here, where you have it highlighted as whoever comes to you, that should have been taken out, and it should be when Ali al-Rida comes to you, give it to him. Then you can say, okay, well, the woman is holding it for this person. If you say whoever, how do you know? What if the next guy comes over and says, hey, Musa's dead, give me his inheritance? Okay, here you go. Just give it to anybody? So anybody's the leader? This whole thing is wrong. That person's going to be my successor. Well, who's that person? Give us the name. Musa didn't know. It's fake. You can tell from here on that everything that the Shias teach you about the 12 Imams is fake. The last 5 Imams is fake. Fake, 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 fake. Because in order for it to be true, Musa had to name Ali al-Rida. Without naming him, it's all garbage. He ordered his son to keep the house. When we say he ordered, we're talking about Musa al-Kazim. Keep the house, it doesn't mean a physical house. We're not talking about a house with 4 structures and a roof, and we're not talking about that. By keeping the house, they mean you keep the family. In other words, Musa al-Kazim is going back to pre-Islamic era time, where when a man died, all of his wives became the inheritance of his eldest son, including the mother of his eldest son. They all become his possession. They all become his, meaning he can have intercourse with his own mother. And we're not talking about a simple just go in and come out. No, we're talking about F-U-C-K-I-N-G. Like what you would see if you had like a XXX video and you had like one of those, Debbie does, I don't know, Dallas or something, you give a name of a city and like 1,000 men come and just one after another, they all find a hole. Like that. But in reverse. Instead of like Debbie does Dallas, it would be Ali al-Rada does Dallas. And, there's just that. All the women. Meaning he knows nothing about Islam. He doesn't know any of the rules. He doesn't know anything. But that's what he did. He told them, you keep the house. All your brothers and sisters, everybody is under you. You keep them all. You do whatever you want with them. You rule over them. He didn't tell him you rule the people. He didn't tell him you teach the people. He didn't tell him you are the imam of the people. He didn't say any of those things. He just talked about the house, his family. You rule over the family. You're the next leader of the family. But you are not leader of the people. You are not teaching anyone anything. He didn't mention any of that. Just the family. When al-Rashid poisoned him, al-Rashid is the Khalif from the Banu Abbasid family. In other words, he is the king of the Arab land at the time. Okay? When al-Rashid poisoned him in Baghdad, him meaning Musa, Ali al-Rada went to her. Her who? The slave wife, mother of Ahmad, went to her and asked for the trust. Remember the inheritance? Ahmad asked him, has your father died a martyr? Yes, he replied. I buried him. Indeed. Give me the trust my father gave to you when he went to Baghdad. I am his successor and the real imam over all mankind and the jinn, meaning the devils, the demons. He's the leader of the demons. Ahmad wept and gave him the trust. Now here where you find him say, give me all of that, he wants all the inheritance. If you take all the inheritance, and the word is all, you're taking it all. That means there's nothing left for the woman. On top of that, she wept. Oh, why didn't she weep when Musa went to Baghdad? Why didn't she weep when Musa told her that when someone comes to you, that means I'm dead? Why didn't she weep then? But she wept and then gave him the trust. Well, there's a simple answer. He beat her up. He forced her to give it to him. Because, of course, she's going to try to keep it for her own son. Why should you be the next leader? Why not my son be the next leader? I have 3 sons. They should all be the leaders. No? Ali al-Rida decided he turned into Mike Tyson and she turned into Mike Tyson's punching bag. Beat her from pillar to post. So she cried. She said, I had enough. She gave everything to him. Then she pledged allegiance to him. In Islam, when you become the leader, you force others to pledge allegiance to you. They have to. They call it bay'at. It wasn't just like she will say, okay, I agree that you are my imam. No, it gets worse. Remember, he owns the family. So when she gives him that pledge of allegiance, it's not a pledge of allegiance that you're the next leader that said, go home. It's the pledge of allegiance that now you are my new master and I am a sex slave, which means I am now legally your new sex slave. And you are able to now treat me exactly the same way my former owner, your father, treated me. In other words, Ali al-Rada, who's buried in Mashhad in Iran, because he moved over there from Medina, was sleeping, committing sexual acts with the mother of his own half-brothers. And we know Musa al-Kazim was doing this with his daughters too, his own biological daughters. Pedophilia runs wild. Incest runs wild in this family. Rape runs wild in this family. Hence, Ali al-Rada continues where Musa al-Kazim left. Now it's his turn to do the exact same evilistic work that his father did. The same acts. The following is an account of some of the affairs and conditions. His position with his father. Musa took great care of his son Ahmad, and he had a high position for him. Very high, ladies and gentlemen, very high. He preferred him to the rest of his children. So Musa preferred Ahmad as his number one child. So this guy wrote, he gave him one of his country states. Ooh. Are you sure? Because right now, Ali al-Rada came and took everything. That means there's no country states for Musa. And as far as I remember, Ali al-Rada was the favorite male child that Musa al-Kazim used to have his pedophile gay sex with, because he was a bisexual. He took care of the women and some of the men. Equal opportunist. If you have a hole, he has a penis for it. I mean, he's always ready to go. And unlike today, where people wear pants, even till today, you can say, Arabs don't wear the pants. I'm sure in your city, you will see a lot of Muslims who walk around with the Arabic male dress. All you got to do is pull it up, and that's it. You don't even have to, undo a belt, pull down a zipper, take your feet out of it. No, you just pull up the dress and go to town. Enjoy away. Musa al-Kazim loved the buttocks of his dear son, Ali al-Rada. That's why he never sent him to war. But his other kids were all generals of his army. They were all going to war, including Ahmad. So are you sure he gave him a state and he didn't give the state to Ali al-Rada? Because it looks like the inheritance was taken by Ali al-Rada, and he put it on and he took everything. That means all of these states was taken by Ali al-Rada. Apparently, he regarded him as one of his testamentary trustees. Ismail, son of the Imam, narrated, the great care of his father took to his brother Ahmad, saying, my father and his son Ahmad went to one of his states where there was with Ahmad 20 men from among his servants and the attendants of my father, When Ahmad rose, they rose. When he sat down, they sat down. Are you sure? Let me tell you the real story. When Ali al-Rida took the inheritance, he had all the states. He treated his brothers, his half-brothers, as his own sons because obviously he owns their mothers. They're all his sex slaves / nikah contract, if you see KING contracts. Therefore, in order to save face in public, he started calling them my children, that they are his half brothers. He's calling his half brothers his children because every night he's the one that's visiting their mothers in their beds. And because of this, he has all the states, all the jewels, all the money. And now that he has all of this, he's taking it a step further. He's bringing these so-called kids, his half-brothers, to the states that he has in his possession, because we were already told before this story that he, Ali al-Rida, went and took the inheritance from the mother of this so-called Ahmad. So in reality, when Ahmad came to the state and he saw these people stand with him and they sit with him, it means the order was given by Ali al-Rida. So Ahmad took the hint. If I ever do anything against this Ali al-Rida, all he has to do is, and these men will kill me. He got the message. He understood. That's the true reality. But obviously, mullahs, they love to confuse you. If they confuse you, they can keep you in the state of not knowing. As long as you don't know, you are like a stupid person. If you don't know something, you will never catch on. It's like, I don't know how to fly a plane. If you put me in the cockpit of a plane, and you tell me, okay, let's go, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? However, if I am taught, I'm given the knowledge of how to fly a plane, and you set me there, sure, we can take off. In Islam, the mullah has to make sure that you don't go far. They will tell you something, and then they will try to tell you the opposite. Keep you confused. As long as you're confused, you don't know what's going on. So, there was with Ahmad 20 men who stood up and sat down. Yet, my father looked after him. Who's my father that looked after him? If Ahmad owned that state, where is his father going to be? His father's dead. He was not heedless of him. That the Imam took care of him and was not heedless of him. That's a proof he showed for his love and sincerity towards him. No, the proof of his love and sincerity would be if Musa al-Kazim had brought him in and said, my dear son Ahmad, here you are the inheritor of my states and everything. You are the leader after me. But he didn't do that. He did not do that. His fear for Allah and his worship. Why they worship Allah? Because they fear Allah. That's it. They fear Allah and they worship Allah. If there's a problem with my volume, please let me know. I believe there shouldn't be any problems with the volume. Let me also check here. Give me 1 second, everybody. Let me go to gone. Those who call themselves the and Musa al-Kazim. Ahmed's mother was a slave. You're creating an environment where the and some people, mother of Ahmed, went to her and asked for the trust. Remember the inherit? There's no problem with our voice. Volume is good. I just checked multiple different parts. Everything seems to be good. There's no problem with our voice. Let us return back to where we were. Muslims only worship because they fear their God. Unlike in Christianity. In Christianity, you worship because God told you that you are like his kids. You're the little ones. So he treats you like his kids. Like human beings treat their pets like their kids. Those are their little ones. You know, your pet obviously is not a biological child of yours. Your pet will never be able to get to the level of understanding that you have. But you treat it like your little child. Likewise, in Christianity, human beings will never get to the level of God. They will never be as good as God. They will never be as sinless as God. God is perfect. There is no sin. God is good. We can never measure up to that goodness of God. Christians know this. However, in Islam, it's a different story. The God of Islam, who is Satan, is an idol attributed to Satan. He doesn't love the Muslims. The Muslims have to acquire the love of their God. And until they do that, they are afraid. Why are they afraid? They're afraid because, simply put, they are told that their God will punish them. So out of fear, they worship. Unlike in Christianity, out of love, we worship. Ahmed was fearing and righteousness. He released 1,000 slaves. My question is, where did he get 1,000 slaves? Everything is owned by Ali al-Rada. Beforehand, it was owned by his father. He didn't have the slaves to release, neither when his father was alive, neither when he became a child of his own brother. So how did he get 1,000 slaves? Obviously, it's a lie. He didn't release any. A poet composed. Who's the poet? Nobody knows. Ahmad bin Kazim, the king of lights. So now Ahmad is a king of lights. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you the story. Ahmad, he used to open his hand, and then lights would shoot out from all of his fingers. He'd shoot out so much that he put Star Wars to shame. You know? He was the master of great. You know, master of great. I would have thought that would be God. Who else is great? Apparently, Ahmed is the great. Released 1,000 slaves. Did you get it? We have a poet. A poet is writing poetry because the poet wrote that Ahmed is the king of lights. He's the master of grace. He gave away 1,000 slaves. All of a sudden, it became 100% proof that yes, he is the guy who freed 1,000 slaves. Not that he did it in reality. No. Only that a poet wrote something in poetry. You know, like roses are red, violets are blue. Ali is the father of the sun. So now I'm the father of the sun. It was in a poet. A poet said so. Don't say I made it up. It was a poet that said it. Come on now. I don't need to name a poet. I just say a poet said so, and it's, fact. Proof. That's how Islam is built. The Quran is built that way. The Hadith are built that way. Everything's built that way. Say anything and say it was this thing. Then everybody has to agree with it. They have to go along with it. Because, what will happen if they don't go along with it? Can you think of it? The proof of his righteousness and piety is that when the story of the death of Imam Musa became famous in Medina, the people gathered at the door of Ahmed's house. The people went out along with Ahmed. They thought that he was the Imam after his father, for they saw his greatness, his worship, his following the Islamic teachings. They thought he was the successor of the Imam after him, or after his father, so they pledged allegiance to him. No, the people pledged allegiance to him because he was the general for his father. I mean, his father had one job, and that was to create inbred kids. And he sent those inbred kids to fight with the Abbasid Khalifa. And because of this, he decided he needs some generals. So his older kids were the generals. Those who were doing the bay'at with him, those who were saying, I'm with you, those who gave their allegiance, those are all people that wanted to join him in fighting the Banu Abbasids. Not that they followed him as their imam. No, he was their general. He was their big time general. We're going to get to that in a second. He took a pledge of allegiance from them and ascended a pulpit in the mosque, delivered an eloquent sermon, saying, "Oh, people, you pledge allegiance to me? Huh? But I will pledge allegiance to my brother, Ali ibn Musa al-Rada." You know why? They all say, why? Know that he is the Imam and the successor after my father. He is the friend of Allah. Woo. People, you're not the friend of Allah. I mean, he never mentioned you guys. Ahmad knows. Yeah, Ahmad knows who's Allah's friend and who's not Allah's friend. I mean, who made him judge, jury, and executioner? Allah and his apostle, the qatam, human feces, have made it incumbent upon you and me to obey him. Remember when Ja'far al-Sadiq and his son Musa al-Kazim, they were trying to debate, and they were saying that humans have free will. I mean, you got free will. And then Dr. Mossavat took it as a challenge and ripped them apart using the Quran and the Hadith. Well, apparently, Ahmad here is also agreeing with Dr. Mossavat and throwing his father under the bus, stating to the people inside the house of Allah, which is a mosque, that his brother is their leader because Allah and his apostle, meaning the human filth prophet, have made it incumbent, meaning they forced it on you, and you have to obey him. So they ordered it. You don't have free will. Your free will is taken away from you, and you're forced to accept this. That's why it says to obey. You have to obey. It's been written for you. But apparently, Musa al-Kazim didn't know this, but his son knew this. Because his son got the message when those 20 people stood up and sat down every time he did something. Essentially, Ali al-Rada rules like Saddam ruled. Saddam did the same thing. Assassination of his own family members, assassination of his cabinets. If you did something he didn't like. And now we see the same government over there. Saddam learned it from him. All those who were present yielded to his speech. They all stayed silent. They left the mosque headed to buy Ahmad. They stood before the Imam. I mean, he was there too. Everybody was there. Why you left the mosque to go outside the mosque to be with the same guy when he was there with you? And they admitted his imamat. They all accepted it. They said, we understand. We don't do it. He's going to kill us in the city. He's got a big army. This tradition is a proof of his faith and piety. No, it's not a proof of faith and piety. This tradition is a proof that Ahmad did a number 2, the size of a mountain, on his father's head, showed that his father doesn't know anything about the religion. And now the mullahs have to write something in here to try to save the blunder that we pointed out. And there is no piety there. There's no nothing there. It's just the fact that Ahmad knows if he doesn't try to sell his brother on the people after the blunder of his father, who didn't name him for the people, that means that when he goes to sleep, someone will come to his house and cut his head, and in the morning there will be no more Ahmad, and people will not be able to go and rally behind this Ahmad, and therefore he will be dead. So to save his life, he has to sell his brother unto the people. That's the only thing we got out of it. Some extinct Shia sects, extinct means they're all dead, believe that his imamate and claim that he was the imam after his father. Well, if those extinct sects are correct, that means Allah should have provided them security, protection, so that they would not go extinct, so that they can continue in saying and believing in Ali al-Rada being the eighth Imam. But Allah couldn't provide them any protection. Most likely because Allah doesn't agree with the lie they're spewing. And Ali al-Rada is not the representative of the so-called Allah. Huh? That's why they're extinct. They're gone. They don't exist no more. Only other Shia sects exist. His knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the knowledge of Ali al-Rada, the eighth Imam. I mean, we're still in the book of the seventh Imam, and they already jumped to the eighth Imam. He has to fill it somehow. There is a blunder here. We have to do something. And no, the blunder is not that he didn't name him. We're talking about a different blunder now. You see, the big problem here is we have to talk about how Musa al-Kazim committed adultery, how Musa al-Kazim committed pedophile, how Musa al-Kazim committed incest, how Musa al-Kazim committed rape with his own children and slaves, and how he sent them to go and die on his behalf, while he kept Ali al-Rada as his male pedophile, incest, rape, boy, sex toy. Yet, this is a hard subject for the mullahs to talk about. Because of that, they have to sell you on the idea that the last one, which is the boy toy, he's not a boy toy. So they have to come up with something to get you involved in thinking a different way. So when they get to the actual topic, they can cover it and smooth on by without you realizing what's going on. That's why we're talking about the eighth Imam. Now we're talking about the eighth Imam. And in this eighth Imam, we've reached his knowledge. So now we're going to talk about the knowledge. He was amongst the knowledgeable people of his time. He really was. He had so much knowledge. He narrated many traditions, many, on the authority of his father, on the authority of his grandfather. You see, when you talk about traditions, the hadith, okay, are the traditions. You've probably heard the word hadith before, and we've talked about hadith. Hadith are the sayings of their prophet Khatam, who they call Muhammad, when the guy's name was human feces, and he changed it to the praised one. Or that, where are you going to put God then? If you praise him, where's God? I mean, you're supposed to praise God, but here he gave himself the name, the praised one. So you're going to praise him now. So human feces turned into the praised one. in every hadith, you have to have a chain of command. This chain is a chain of names, not a chain of actual chain like Hercules had a chain. No, we're talking about chain of command. So if Ali al-Radha tells you a hadith, he has to link it all the way to Muhammad. But Ali al-Radha did not know anyone past his grandfather by name. I mean, he knew about Ali, the cousin of the Prophet, and his two sons, Hassan and Hussein. But then he didn't know Muhammad Baqir. And therefore, he couldn't connect them. He didn't know Ali Zain al-Abidin. So he couldn't connect them. All he knows is Jafar and Musa. And I think he didn't know them either. I think he only knew Musa by name. Because it's easy for him to say, my grandfather said so. And people will know, okay, he's talking about Jafar. It's easy for him to say, my father said so. They will know, okay, he's talking about Musa. So he inherited traditions from his father and grandfather. He wrote the Holy Quran with his blessed hand. But pay attention to the next sentence. However, we have found nothing of his literary inheritance. It's all gone. There's nothing. Nothing there. Nothing. That means all this tradition that he wrote, all this Quran that he wrote, never existed. Because they can't find nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing. I mean, we have Sahih al-Bukhari from before him. We have Sahih al-Muslim from before him. We have from Sheikh al-Mufid, who was before this guy. You know, their books and stuff is still here. People are using it. You know, Ibn Majah is there, Ibn Taymiyyah is there. You know, all these guys are there. Sunnah Majah, this and that, and you know, all these different old books that have been there from before this guy are still there, being used today. Some will say, well, the original book that Sahih al-Bukhari wrote, we don't have. Well, Sahih al-Bukhari, his book came out like 200 years, 300 years after Muhammad's death. 250 years or so. This guy came along another 400 years or so after Sahih al-Bukhari. How is it you have nothing from this guy? Nothing? Not even one page, one sentence, one word? What about one letter? You don't even have a letter? So everything you said is fake. Whenever you're given a book and they say, we have a book from Ali al-Radha and there's 200 hadith from him or 100 hadith. There are these books. I have it here. No, it's all fake. None of those hadith are from him. Somebody else sat down 700 years after his death and started writing on his behalf. With Abu al-Suraya, some sources have mentioned that Ahmad was among those who took part in the movement of Abu al-Suraya. Ibrahim and Ismail, the two sons of Abi Samuel, and why this guy has like a Christian name all of a sudden, have butchered, obviously, but Christian name. Narrated saying, when the affairs of Abu al-Hasan happened, we went to his son, Ahmad, for a time. When Abu al-Suraya went to the revolt, Ahmad went with him. Muhammad bin Ahmad bin Uzayd went to Ibrahim and Ismail, and they all said that this man Ahmad went out to revolt along with Abu al-Suraya. And when they did that, so they criticized, blah, 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 withdrew from him. They didn't want to be part of it. Abu al-Hasan is still alive. Why should we be with Suraya? Blah, 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 blah. They talk and talk and talk. And then we follow him. Some traditions, some traditions, I mean, they can't tell you who. There is no names. Some people said, a group of people said, here we have the same thing. Abu al-Hasan is still alive. Some people, some traditions believe, right, that his going out in revolt with Abu al-Suraya defames his justice. However, we condemn that. For Sheikh al-Mufid, I mean, the Sheikh al-Mufid, and others like him were there from a long time ago. But anyway, Sheikh al-Mufid and other prominent religious scholars have regarded him as trustworthy. So Sheikh al-Mufid wrote that some traditions have said, but he never mentioned any to you. And now it became proof, like as if it came from God. His death, the famous narration is that he died a natural death. Who? Ahmad. We're talking about Ahmad. Okay, Ahmad. Ahmad died a natural death. Mu'in al-Din, who died in the year 791 AH, has mentioned that Sayyid al-Amir al-Ahmad. Remember when I told you that Ahmad was the general for his father in the army? When people were coming around him, is because he was a general fighting for his father, not because of inheritance and leadership. Well, Amir, it means the leader, as in leader in army. Back then, they didn't have the title general. That's a new title for modern era. But if you were to want to call someone back in those days a general, you would have had to use the word Amir. Al-Sayyid means Mr. or Sir. So Sir General or Mr. General, and then you're giving the name Ahmad. So that's his name. So Sir General Ahmad bin Musa, meaning son of Musa, went to Shiraz. Now, the guy is from Medina, which is in Saudi Arabia today. And he's going to Shiraz, which is a city in Iran today, and died there after the death of his brother Ali al-Rida. Now, Ali al-Rida died in the city of Mashhad in Iran because he was second in charge by the Abbasids, who picked him to become their second in charge so they can put an end to this foolish war. And the only reason why they're fighting is because the family needs more money. They used to be on the payroll of the Banu Umayyads, and now they want to be on the payroll. And then because you didn't give them money, now they got to fight with you. That's how they made their money. They were leeches on governments. So, apparently, Ali al-Rida died in Mashhad, but this guy, Ahmad, ended up in Shiraz. Why? Nobody knows. This all happened in the days of Ma'mun. Ma'mun, just like Rashid, was one of the Khalifs of the time during the Abbasid Khilaf, which means literally in plain language, he was the king of the Arabs of his time. They didn't use the word king, they used the word Khalif. Some sources say, again, some, we don't know who these sums are, but some sources mention that he died a martyr. He didn't die peacefully in his sleep, a natural death. No, he died a martyr, meaning he was killed. The story these people say, compared to those people, I mean, none of them were ever named, so you don't know who's who. That's why in Islam, they can turn to you for every single hadith and tell you it's weak, it's weak, it's a weak hadith, everything's weak. Because when you look at it, their sources are some people and some people. You never know who. So, and then, of course, they have to blame Israel at the end. Everything's Israel's fault. I mean, the Israel's fault that these guys wrote such a stupid book. But anyway, some people say that was when he heard that Al-Ma'mun betrayed his brother and killed his brother. What did he betray him with? Ma'mun told him, you'll be the next one in charge after me. But then Ali al-Rada died of poison before Ma'mun. So now they say it's Ma'mun's fault. So now Ma'mun, poor guy, according to the story, he betrayed Ali al-Rada. He was very sad. Who was very sad? Ahmad was very sad. He was very sad for him. So he left Baghdad. He went from Medina to Baghdad in Iraq today. He went to Baghdad to take vengeance on him. So he went to Baghdad to fight, right? But Ma'mun's capital city at that time was in Mashhad. So he went for vengeance. There was along with him 3,000 people from amongst the grandsons of the Imams, meaning these are the grandsons of Musa al-Kazim. Remember when I told you the guy just made kids only so that his kids can continue to become soldiers, and his older kids were the generals, his younger kids were the soldiers. The guy just made kids so that they can be sent to battle. They went against Ma'mun in a war. They arrived to Qom. Qom is a city in Iran, and it's north towards, like Baghdad is to the south of Qom. So now they're going northwards. So they went from Medina, where it's very south. They went to Baghdad. From Baghdad, they're going to Qom. When they reached the city of Qom, the governor ordered his soldiers and the people to fight against Ahmad and his 3,000 grandchildren of this Imam. So they fight with the sword, of course. I mean, there was no bombs, no missiles, no helicopters. It was sword fighting, They fight with the sword and the spear and, the bow and arrow. They fight. What happens in this fight? A group of his companions, whose companions? Ahmad's companions. A group of them died. Ahmad went to Ray. Ray is modern day Tehran. I mean, here we gotta call a timeout. You mean to tell me this guy's fighting inside the city of Qom? And if we pretend that the city is a circle, just so that we can get a better idea. I mean, he entered one side, started a sword fight, and he moved throughout this circle and came out the other side. Meanwhile, always in a sword fight. And then he continued his way further north from Rome to Tehran. And you mean to tell me that the people that were fighting him in Rome, they stopped? They said, oh, well, he left our jurisdiction. Our border is only for here, so we're going to stop fighting the guy? Everyone went back to their business and their homes? I don't believe that. I can't buy that. I mean, if they're fighting, they will just continue him. Continue going with him until you kill them all. What was the point of killing some of them and saying, he left our border. We can't do no more. No, we can't. We were only going this far, you know? Oh, boy. So now he reached Ray, modern-day Tehran. But its governor, the governor of Ray, modern-day Tehran, battled against him. He called his people, hey, come on out, everybody, come on out. And they fought him, you know, sword fight again. So we have a sword fight. And now the sword fight continues. And some of his companions died, just like in Rome. Rome and Ray, same story. They fought him, they killed him. But when he left their jurisdiction, they stopped. These are crazy people, I tell you. According to the story we're following, these are crazy people. Why fight him if you're going to stop? And then what? Some of his companions died as martyrs. He and the rest went to Asfarin, a district of Khorasan, which this guy couldn't say properly and called Khurasi. Anyway, back to the story. They stopped at a salty land between two mountains. As a result, the army of Ma'mun attacked them. Oh, now the army of Ma'mun finally showed up. I mean, the other ones weren't the army of Ma'mun. They were the armies of the governors who Ma'mun put in place. So I guess those were not his group. Oh, these were the army of Ma'mun. What is this guy talking about? But anyway, according to this guy, the army of Ma'mun just now showed up. Okay. Then they fought against them and killed them. As for Ahmad, he died a martyr and was buried there. He was buried in where? I'll highlight it for you. Asfarin. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you another version of the story. Because I'm going to show you how he went from Asfarin, way up here in the north, down to the south over there in Shiraz. You see, what this mullah didn't tell you. When they threw his body in the grave, 6 feet down, there was an Uber waiting. And as soon as he fell down, they put him in the Uber. I mean, I can't tell you it was a hearse because, you know, hearse is long. This was an Uber. It was a little tiny Uber. So he fell in the Uber. And then the Uber started to go down in a hole. And that hole, that tunnel hole, brought him all the way to Shiraz. Now you might be thinking, Dr. Mossavat, how could there be a tunnel with an Uber? I will tell you, relax. The story continues. You see, the Uber was being pulled by a special type of rat. A rat that is a master at digging tunnels. And it actually exists. There is a rat that has blind eyes, gigantic front teeth, and really good claws. This blind rat is a master at digging tunnels. Why is it blind? Because it doesn't need the eyes. If it had eyes, of course, all that dirt would fall on it. It doesn't need eyes. It's got a big nose that can smell really well. But what happened here? The idea was for this blind mouse, which is a rat, to pull this Uber all the way back to Medina. But what happened? As he was digging, as he was running, as he was pulling, and he never took any rest, because in Islam, the body has to be moved right away. You can't let it be. As they were pulling, when they reached the city of Shiraz, this poor rat had a heart attack and died. Hence, the Uber couldn't continue. So what did the Uber do? They opened the door and they gave him a boot, and he fell out of the Uber. The Uber decided to go back to Asfarin, as you have it highlighted. Why? Well, because they need another customer, of course. So, he's got to go back so he can pick up the next customer. It makes perfect sense. And hence, the body of Ahmad is now buried in Shiraz, because the Uber just left him there. It's the, discretion of the driver. He didn't have anyone to dig a tunnel for him. Very good story. Very good story. Now let's go back to what this mullah was telling us. Okay. As for Ahmad, he died and he's buried there. People visited his grave, saying this is something strange and contradicts that of the grave in Shiraz. The narration is similar to some fabricated story. That's what some people say. I mean, everything's some people. Now, the people visited his grave. Let me ask you a question here. Viewers. I mean, the people that were fighting this guy are the army that Ma'mun brought from the capital city. The capital city is Mashhad in the province of Khorasan, which means the people that were fighting him in Khorasan are the people of Khorasan. So why would the people of Khorasan fight him, kill him, bury him, and then visit his grave? You visit the grave of someone you love. You don't visit the grave of your enemy. If someone takes you to the grave of your enemy, you might do number one on it. You might just say, well, you know what? I got to answer the call of nature and on the grave, because it's your enemy. You don't go to visit your enemy. These people just killed him. He just got buried, and now they're going to go visit his grave to do what? Mullahs write without thinking. They just write for the sake of writing. You have a guy who's walking around with the grandchildren of his father, meaning this guy is so old, he's probably going around with a cane. You expect me to think that an elderly man with a cane is walking around and he's going these long, I mean, we're not talking about you leaving your neighborhood to go to the next neighborhood. By train from Tehran to Mashhad today, this very moment, by train, it's a 10-hour ride. By train. By car from Qom to Tehran is about an hour and a half. I mean, it's even longer. He came from Medina to Baghdad, from Baghdad to Qom, from Qom to, getting to this Asfarin and Tehran in between. And if you're talking about going to Shiraz, well, Shiraz is another 4 hours from Tehran going south. By car. So imagine if this guy's on some horses and you got some people that are foot soldiers that don't have horses, so you got to go as slow as the people that are on foot. because you can't leave them behind. Imagine how many days they had to walk. You expect me to believe that an elderly man is in charge of all of this, and he's going, and everywhere he goes, he has to sword fight, and somehow the young youth are dying, but this old man has some supernatural type energy where all these young people that are fighting him can't overpower him, and he's able to withstand everything everyone has and go through like 3 battles like he's playing a video game. And in the last place, then the armies will come and kill him because there's too many of them. What is he, like Super Mario? And as he's going from city to city, he jumps and gets some life, and it becomes bigger. Bum, 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 bum. Ladies and gentlemen, what can we do? We stopped about here for the Persian language. Now I'm getting a runny nose, and I don't have any tissues around me. So we will stop the program here for the English language as well. And we will continue next week, and I will get a chance to address my flu that I caught, I guess. And if you like our programs, click on the button and subscribe. We have 14,000 people between the Persian and the English language that we provide every week that watch our programs, but we need you guys to subscribe. It would help the channel, not so much for my gain, but it would help the channel spread the knowledge for more people to gain. Why? Because the bots. You see, YouTube has bots. These bots are designed to promote channels. How they promote it, when they see that people become members of a channel by subscribing to that channel, they start promoting the channel to people who see videos that the people that subscribe to this channel are seeing from other content providers. Hence, if, for example, Mr. A subscribed to our channel, but Mr. A decided to go watch some other person's channel that was about cooking. Well, other viewers of that cooking channel randomly will start to have our program pop up in their feed. And they will be asked, other viewers of this cooking channel also viewed this channel, our channel. And it will ask them if they want to look at it. Some will just let it go. Some may click on it and say, I want to see what that is. Another way that you can help us is by clicking the like button. It also pushes the bots to do the same. Another way you can help us is by leaving a comment underneath our video after the video is done. It will also promote. The more you do that, the more we can get this message to be heard by more people. Let's raise it where instead of every week 14,000 people watch our program, let's head for a target of 100,000 people viewing the program so that we can save us. Your kids go to school, and in schools around the world, even in the West, they're trying to teach them that Islam is good. Islam is great. They're promoting it to them. They have little kids praying, and they're making your kids follow them in that prayer, that satanic prayer. But they tell you you can't say a word about Christianity. You can't even say the name of God in school. But they can pray. They can say the name of Allah. They can do all of that. And you don't know. And if you don't know, you can't teach your kids, and you can't protect your kids. And your kids will go down the wrong path. So you need to save your kids. But it's not just your kid. We can only save your kid if we're saving everybody's kid. Because we, as people, we need to be the majority. If we're the minority, they can walk all over us. So to become the majority, we need to spread the knowledge. And to spread that knowledge, I need to do my part. You need to do your part. My part is to bring the knowledge. Yours is to spread it. The best way is to make the bots of YouTube work on our behalf. They already sabotage our programs. They already don't show the real numbers. They try to dumb it down. They don't show that 14,000 people are watching it. They dumb that number down because they don't want the bots to continuously spread it. People subscribe to our channel and they show a fake lower number and then they adjust it after a few days. They take away the share button so that we don't share this on any other platform, but I can copy paste it and share it. They show that we have more likes than we have viewers after the program is done. How is that possible? How is it possible to have 9 likes, but 2 people view it? I mean, 2 people, they can only vote once each. There should be 2 likes for 2 viewers. If you have 9 likes, that means you have 9 viewers, but we have more than that. They play with our sound systems. They do all kinds of tricks. The enemy is doing their job. So I ask you, help this channel if you watch this channel on a weekly basis. Subscribe, promote it, share it, like it, write a comment about it. And if it's your first time, I hope you enjoyed it and you excuse me for my runny nose. Flu, what can we do? It happens. It happens. It just started. So I got to deal with that flu now and take some medicine for it. I leave you in the hands of Jesus till our next program next week. God bless him, all of you. Bye-bye for now.